'Cause we don't know the hour or the day. Time is such a gift, try and control your destiny. We don't know the hour or the day. Unity is strength, let's stand as one without delay. 'Cause no bad vibe me a chant. Me no want no bad vibe me a chant. I just peace the times all around, yeah. No bad vibe me a chant. No bad vibe me a chant. Say me no want no bad vibe me a chant. I just peace the time all around, yeah.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing today? Welcome to another episode of Death Taught Us How to Live. We're still in Stroke Awareness Month, the month of May in the United States, I guess across the world. We deal with stroke awareness. We bring understanding of what a stroke is and understanding how to deal with a stroke if you or your loved one actually has one. So, with that theme, we're going to be continuing with that. This is episode number 5 for season number 5. And I want to bring onto the stage a lady that I have come to know. She's a pretty interesting woman. She does a lot in the community of the stroke survivors. And I'm kind of impressed that she's at this particular point in her recovery at this stage, because where she's at right now, it took me a very long time to get there. So, without any further ado, let me bring her onto the stage so you can hear her story and hear her side of things and how she became a warrior, how she is today. I guess she's a healing warrior. So, without any further ado, let me bring Vanessa Kelly onto the stage. Once again, she is a stroke survivor. She is my friend, and she got a lot to tell us.
Hi,
Hey, Vanessa.
Greg.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain, my sister. I can't complain at all. But before we get into our little conversation, let's give a little recap of who you are, what happened to you on that unfortunate day, and then we could have our conversation about how we get better in our stroke recovery. So, without any further ado, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Vanessa Kelly, and I live in Idaho. I suffered a SAH hemorrhagic stroke September 22nd of 2022. At that same time, I was also infected with COVID at home, sick in bed. I just had this pop behind my right eye. Suddenly, it was like a release of energy. I got sick. I screamed to my husband to come to the room, please help me. And everything went black. I lost my vision. And literally, 3 weeks later, I woke up in an ICU room in Harborview Medical Center in Seattle, Washington. I was airlifted there, and I had an emergency coiling and stent to fill the aneurysm. And I literally do not have any memories of like the first 3 weeks of being in the ICU.
Okay. So you had a rough trip, and like most of us, when we have a stroke, it's a life altering event. And you said something pretty interesting that I never heard of before until I actually talked to you. The type of stroke that you said you had was a SAH. What does that actually stand for?
Subarachnoid hemorrhage.
Okay. For the people that are completely lost on what you're saying with that, what does that actually mean?
So it's an area of the brain that actually is a pretty common place to have a hemorrhage, because there's a lot of blood pressure built up on the right side of the brain behind the eye. And I had an 8 millimeter unruptured brain aneurysm that I was unaware of, although I had lots of migraines and headaches many weeks and months prior. But I was fighting with the insurance to just get some imaging done. So it's a very common one, and it's a really easy one to coil if it's the right conditions for the neurosurgeon to do that procedure.
This is very fascinating. And before we even get into our interview, I want to break this down because before I spoke to you, I had never heard this. This is so important. Why we as a community of stroke survivors need to share information so we can educate each other and also learn more about what happened to us. So I'm grateful that Vanessa brought this up to us, and I'm looking here for the hemorrhagic side of it. I did a hey Google type of search on my phone. It said there's two main types of hemorrhagic strokes. One is called an intracerebral hemorrhagic. That is basically within the brain itself. You have a brain bleed or aneurysm there. And what Vanessa was talking about is a subarachnoid hemorrhagic is more of, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's a layer between your brain and your skull. Is a thin layer there, and that's when the bleeding happens in that particular area instead of actually inside of the brain. And a lot of people, like Vanessa said, do have this from a stress, from
High blood pressure.
hypertension, and things of that nature. Am I right with that, Vanessa?
Yeah, and I'm the classic example of someone who had her blood pressure go out of control, and I had been sick with COVID. I just started a round of Paxlovid, and that's a rare side effect. And I was a walking time bomb without the understanding. When I went to the ER 2 days prior, I was telling him, oh, I'm photosensitive. I had sunglasses on. I could feel my pulse in my head. And he's like, oh, no, those are just side effects to your COVID infection. Go home and get some rest. Like 2 days prior, we could have had imaging, right? But, I guess there were other plans.
Now you're saying a lot right there. And it's very unfortunate that a lot of times, and I've been doing this for 5 years and so many interviews, so many people say, hey, they be sent home after they had a stroke or a brain bleed, and they don't really look into it because maybe A, you're too young, or B, maybe your medical insurance won't cover it. I don't know. But a lot of times the doctors don't actually say, okay, let's do some imaging, because what we all know, MRI in the United States is probably $4,000 or $5,000 at least. So they don't want to just tax you on that with your insurance, and your insurance might not approve for it. I am very curious about this though, and I want you to help me out because I don't know this side of a stroke. I had an AVM, that's an arteriovenous malformation, but you said you had high blood pressure. I don't think people understand how easy something like this can happen to you. You're stressed at work, like you said, during COVID, all this was happening. Can you give people more of a warning signs of what they should be preparing themselves for if they do have high blood pressure or hypertension or a lot of stress at work? What should they do so this won't happen to them?
Well, honestly, go get yourself a blood pressure monitor and start checking your blood pressure at rest. Um, I, I mean, I'll raise my hand. I had one. I never used it. I probably was borderline hypertensive before I had the COVID infection and the bad side effect to the Paxlovid treatment. So I highly encourage, please, if you see you're elevated, like you're in the 140s or inching up there while you're resting, go see your PCP and get on some sort of blood pressure medicine, because that would have made a huge difference. Now, I still had an aneurysm. Like at some point, we would have to deal with it. But I guess what I'm saying is, I thought at the time my blood pressure was elevated, but it wasn't concerning. And I thought I was invincible then. And I still think I'm invincible, but for different reasons.
No, I completely get it. And I completely understand what you're saying, but I don't think people, and I have a hard time letting people know how quick and how devastating a stroke is. and they take our words very lightly. And like, well, that can't happen to me. Well, we thought the same
Yes, it
thing. Like,
can.
it could definitely
It
happen to
can.
you.
It happened to you. It happened to me. It happened to your probably all of your audience or caretakers that are taking care of somebody who's had a stroke. And it happens more frequently than people. I don't know. And that's the other part. I don't know if you thought about this, Greg, but some people, when they find out you've had a stroke, they almost like turn their back on you. And I think they're afraid because there's so little understanding of what does that mean when somebody's had a stroke. Well, there's varying degrees of disabilities or challenges depending on that particular person's case, right? But I hope that tonight you and I can bring some light to the fact that when you find out somebody in your family or friend or whatever had a stroke, don't run the other direction. It's not contagious. Like you can really help that person needs a lot of help when they get out of the hospital.
We're going to touch on that a little bit. And please don't, let me write that down after you get out the hospital, because I got a question to ask you.
Okay.
But I want to get back to that thought process of, don't take this lightly. Like I said, I have interviewed probably over a couple of hundred people, and a lot of them have been sent home. They didn't even know they had a stroke or a brain bleed because the doctors didn't test them. So take it from survivors. Um, if you do have any of these symptoms and it's going really crazy with you, tell them that I think I might have a stroke. Know the actual symptom. Do you know the acronym Be Fast?
Yeah.
Can you explain it to people so they can understand that as well?
I don't have the acronym right in front of me.
Okay, I was putting you on the spot. I'll do it.
You really put me on the spot because I have my notes right here.
All right, Be Fast.
But
That's the acronym that you should be aware of when someone is having a stroke or if you're
hands
having a stroke.
tingling.
B is for balance.
Yes.
E is if your eye starts drooping. F is your face starts drooping as well, like left side of your face, right side of your face, either side. A is your arm is weak. S is your speech is slurred.
Oh yeah, I had that too.
And then T, it's time to call 911. And Vanessa, have you heard the importance of getting to the hospital faster because what can happen to you if you wait?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can you
And
explain that?
luckily the hospital near me in Coeur d'Alene, they have people specially trained. Like they have a whole stroke uh, group that's part of their emergency department. So if anybody has any symptoms of a stroke, they immediately treat them. I don't know specifically what they do because obviously it depends if it's an ischemic where it's a blockage versus a hemorrhagic one like you and I had. But I mean, it makes a difference on how much damage happens on whether or not you get to the hospital in time.
Yeah, I think I put you a little bit on the spot. I don't want you to break down what they actually do, but I just want to understand the importance of it. And you did say, get them to the hospital on time. There's a reason for this. I don't know if people really understand what a stroke is. Does it make a difference? Is it hemorrhagic or ischemic? It's basically there is something going on in your brain. Either you're being
Brain.
deprived of oxygen or there's a spillage in the
Yeah.
brain area, and it's killing brain cells. So the longer you take to get to the hospital, more brain cells are being killed.
Yeah. And you can't regenerate
And
brain
you can't
cells.
regenerate them. So the faster you go, the better off you will be. So that's why they came up with this acronym. I think it's the American Heart and Stroke Foundation came up with the acronym of Be Fast. But it's exactly it. You have to be fast with this because if you do not, it could be much worse or even death. So the faster you
Hmm.
react, the faster you move to this, we highly recommend because I don't know about you, Vanessa, but I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I don't
No,
want anybody to go through what we have gone through. This is the worst thing on earth.
well,
I can't emphasize it. Well, maybe you found something else that's worse, but for me, it was the worst thing on earth. You know,
I mean, it was by far the worst medical trauma I've had in my entire life.
see what I'm
Uh,
saying?
but yeah, I think, I even like have a hard time when I hear people say, "Oh my gosh, you're going to give me a stroke," or I'm just like, that's not funny. Not funny to me anyway, because like having half your body just go paralyzed and you feel your mouth dropping and you're trying to talk and it's all gargled and having the whole room go black is not fun.
Mhm.
Like losing your
Not at
eyesight is
all.
not fun.
Not at
Passing
all.
out for 3 weeks is not fun.
Let's go to this after the hospital care because I want to switch gears a little bit because I have a lot of line of questions with that. We did just talk about understanding the warning signs of a stroke and be fast and things of that nature. But you brought up something pretty interesting. You talk about what happens after you come home, and we need people around us to be supportive, not to fight us, not to say that we're blaming it on the stroke. Because I don't know about you, Vanessa, but when I first got home, and even now, I still do that. It's like almost 8 years later. I sleep a lot. I'm
Mhm.
tired from almost
Yeah.
anything. And
Yeah.
people don't understand it. Like some days I could get up and I can, read a book maybe or do the dishes maybe. I could do things and then the next day I can't do anything at all. Do you have that same
Yeah.
type of problem?
I do. I definitely I kind of told you this afternoon. I said I rested all day just for tonight because I try to like limit how much I have on a calendar a day or space things out hours in between. And then on my really great days, I just go and do everything I can because I know the next day will most likely be a sit down, relax, try to cope kind of day, right? So it's like flip flop as far as energy levels go. And I don't ever feel like I'm all the way on full, but boy, I do my best to fake it.
And I'm glad you said that. You do your best to fake it because a lot of times, and I don't know if you hear this words or this phrase before. You look good for a stroke survivor.
Mm,
And I'm like, yeah, I guess I do. Like, I can't believe that you're able to do this. Like, yeah, I understand that. But inside, I am dying. I'm trying my best to keep up with you, even keep up with conversations. It's very difficult. And if you are giving me a lot of stimulation, you might as well forget about it. I'm gonna freeze up like a robot and just start all over again, like back in the day when Windows 95 used to just
mm.
give you the blue screens of death. It's the same thing that happens with me. So what are the type of things that you suggest people that are around stroke survivors, and what should they do to make a stroke survivor feel more comfortable instead of making them feel agitated and on edge? Do you have any suggestions?
So I think it's important to not make judgments based on how somebody looks. And that should be across the board anyway, but especially with a stroke survivor. Um, it's easy to think, oh, they had a surgery, you had a coiling, whatever. Oh, you're fixed. No, I mean, it stays with you forever. Like it does get better. I will say I've seen a huge improvement in the last 6 months to a year, and I'm almost 3 years out for mine. But it's very nice to have people in your family or in your community that understand when you're, you know, needing a day off and not make judgments if you cancel plans.
Okay, Vanessa, it seemed like we got some messages, and unfortunately, I can't see them on this particular platform. There's some messages on Instagram, so I'm going to read them out and actually let you understand what they're actually saying on the Instagram. So just give
Okay.
me a second so I could pull them up. There's one question or comment. This is from Sherry. She said, "I forgot about the time limit." I guess she's talking about how we have issues with our energy and things like that. She gets confused with time. I believe that's what she's saying. If there's something else you're trying to refer to, Sherry, please put it in the comments and I'll read it again. And I have another one from Miss Al Cream 16. I have brain work Nikki aphasia. I think it too. So she has aphasia, and then she has the same issue about our, I guess being tired all the time, and we want people to deal with us correctly, but they don't know how to. And unfortunate, there's not a manual for that, and that's what the problem that I have. There's no manual for how to deal with this when we get out the hospital. And I think and please correct me if I'm wrong, Vanessa, and you could add on to this. Um, I think for our caregivers that are with us from the beginning to end, when you're in the hospital, I think you should observe the nurses that we are great with and the nurses that we're not great with, and try to mimic what those nurses do that we really like. Because unfortunately, when you get home, if you don't have a in-house nurse, you are that nurse. You could be
Mhm.
the spouse, you could be the child, you could be the parent, wherever you are, but you also a nurse too. And just adapt to all those things that nurse did that we felt comfortable with, that made us get up and do physical therapy. Do the same type of thing, and you'll get a better result from your stroke survivor. Am I correct with that, or do you want to add to that?
Um, no, I mean, I think the biggest challenge for our family and friends, again, is a lot of it's invisible. Some of us do have some visible challenges, right? We may be wheelchair bound or have walking issues or speech issues or whatever. But we don't want to be I don't want to be treated differently, even though I know I am different from what they once knew. So it's kind of a little bit of a struggle to come to some understanding on both sides.
Okay, I have another comment on Instagram. And guys, thank you for coming in and giving all your comments. And if you're not following me, you can go to YouTube. And on YouTube, I am AVM Superhero. You can follow me there and put on a notification so you can see our show each and every Thursday. And also on Instagram, I'm AVM Superhero. I'm also on TikTok and Twitch on the same name, AVM Superhero. And I have another comment from our Instagram audience. So I'll read it for us. Here is Twisted Pony 64. I look forward to my naps now and no longer feel guilty for resting. I never felt guilty at all. Did you ever feel guilty about resting so much?
Oh no, no, I it's necessary for my brain to function. I seriously can tell on days that I don't have to take a nap. I could just go rest for an hour in a dark room, and I feel so much better for the rest of the day than if I didn't do that at all.
Okay, I got one more on Instagram, and then I see that we have some on the other platforms that we have. So let me read the other one that we have on Instagram, then we bring on the other platform ones. Okay.
Okay.
This is Sherry IT 29. No, I forgot that time during stroke was important. I was delayed in getting help, lost my whole left side. I mostly recovered my left arm, and is I am still improving. So yeah, she's actually agreeing with us with the time situation. We need to be very adamant about understanding that time is of the essence when it comes to a stroke, because the more time that you waste, the more things that could be happening to your body. So thank you for letting us know that, Sherry, and hopefully that you will get a better and more full recovery. And that's what we're hoping for, and we're rooting for you, my sister. I do have some more comments on this platform, so let's bring them onto the screen. What's the first one? Hi, let me put my glasses on because I'm getting kind of old, Vanessa. I'm getting kind of old.
Oh, I bet you and I are about the same.
Dana is saying something here. It says, hi, and great to see you both. Do you still experience fear of it happening again? I'm only a year out. I'll let you answer this one, Vanessa.
Dana is a very good friend of mine. She's an awesome painter and artist. Um, Dana, I just want to let you know, do not give up. I promise you will get to a point where that fear goes away. It took me about a year and a half to get to the point where I feel comfortable going places by myself and not thinking about, oh my gosh, is this going to happen to me again? So I say just keep the faith, and time will definitely be a healing factor for you with like PTSD and generalized anxiety that happens in that first year of recovery from a ruptured brain aneurysm.
And Dana, what I would say to you is that for me, and me and Vanessa talks about this off the air, but I am more into mind over matter, and I don't really put a lot of thought into things that could be detrimental to my health. And what I mean by that is, and I'm just going to give you a simple scenario. If you have a person that comes back from a war zone and they have PTSDs, and whenever they hear a car backfire, they think it's a gunshot, and their body starts to freeze and everything starts happening to their body as if they are in that war zone again. So I don't try to think about that, and it took me a long time to get over that particular fear of having another stroke. But I don't put much thought into it. Not saying that it couldn't happen to me, but I don't
Dwell on it.
dwell on it or try to manifest it because I'm
Right.
very big into
Okay.
manifestation. So, Dana, that's what I would recommend for you. I know it is very early for you in your stage and you don't know what's happening to your body. This is completely new to you. But just take it from me, I've been 8 years out. And what I have learned is if I keep on telling myself that story over and over again, that I might have it, I might have it, I might have it, I'll be living in that fear and I'm missing out in what I'm supposed to be doing in life and enjoying everything that's around me. So that's what I would say for you. So no, I don't, but it did take me a while to get there. I think we have another question. We got a lot of questions coming in. People love you, Vanessa. People love you. Next question. Donna Dunkley, thanks for your continued awareness. Oh, you're welcome, my sister. I thank you for watching. I got some more info. Well, Dana saying thank you. I think
Thank
she's saying,
you.
I think she's saying thank you to me. I don't know if she's saying thank you to you, Vanessa. All right, I got some more
I
information.
can share some thank yous with you, Greg.
Okay. We could share. We could share. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Dana. We got some more from Instagram. So let me go back to Instagram and read them out. Give me 1 second. I have one from Miss Alclean16. She says, music relax. That's what makes me happy. And remember, we all have to tell ourselves we are first 13 years old or 13 years. Um, I'm thinking, well, hold on, let me read this again. We all have to tell ourselves we are our first 13 years. I am a survivor. Help people talk to each other. It's amazing. Yeah, I agree with you. We have to keep on reminding ourselves that it's one day at a time. We got to keep on moving. And I believe you're saying this is 13 years for you. And we got to keep on reminding each other that we are amazing. We are strong. We're powerful people. And I do agree with that. Vanessa, let me ask you something. And this is the weirdest thing for me. Um, I have never felt so connected to people before in my life, like complete strangers, than what I have right now within the stroke survivor community. Each and every one of you look like my brother or my sisters, and I would have never known you unless we had a stroke. And I could just tell who you are by just walking by you. Do you have that same type of feeling?
I do. And it has really been part of my healing is getting to know other stroke survivors and hearing the story, like every single story is different and unique, just like every person, walking this earth. And it just, it makes me feel purpose filled too, to, help some people that are, just recent survivors, or maybe they're just, having some rough medical things that came in addition to the stroke. And knowing that there are people like yourself and, 10, 12, 13 years out that are having very productive and successful lives, right? That is inspiring for me, and that pushes me to want to inspire others.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what I don't know. I don't want to say the word hate, but it's unfortunate that a lot of survivors don't understand the benefit, the beauty of community, because a lot of them want to stay by themselves and they feel depressed and they feel like life is over. But once you find a community of people, aka tribe, they get better. And it's like, and I don't know if you have been through this or not. I love when I talk to people like us because I don't have to explain how I'm feeling.
Right.
You
They
already
they
know that.
they get you.
You
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 get
get
me.
it. You
Right?
get
Like
it.
I can say, "Hey, I spent the whole day resting so I could be here tonight."
And I'm like, yeah, good for you. I'm happy that you did, and I'm happy that you got what you needed. And I'm not gonna, like, dang, why are you just staying in the bed all day? Get up. I'm not gonna say that because I understand exactly what it is, and that's what we need. And a lot of times, unfortunately, that, like I said, there's no manual for this. That if you have a stroke, what you're supposed to do, A to Z. But when we talk with each other, we get a respite from the world. Even though we have people that love us, people that want to take care of us, they don't understand it. And it's hard. And this is like the worst condition to have, to try to explain what's going on with you because your brain is messed up.
Right.
And, and,
Yeah.
and, it's, and it's hard to do that. So, can I ask you something? What do you do to help others, such as your husband? I don't know if you have children, family members, to be more easy with you. What do you say to them so they can understand what it is for them to do to make you a better stroke survivor?
Oh, I mean, I'll just give a quick example. And I mean, there's days when I just don't feel like coming up with a healthy family meal and I'm exhausted. And, I'll just tell my husband, it's your night. And he'll pick something up or make something easy or pop something from the freezer into the oven. And it's communicated, there's no judgments. And, it's not like I have any young children now. I have a teenage daughter and a 19-year-old son that's back and forth from college. So I don't feel bad about that because I also, in the back of my mind, think about how different it would have been had I not survived, and they would still be living without me here.
I I ask a lot of my guests this question, and I want you to give me your honest opinion. And I know, who you are and what you do in the social media uh, platforms, but behind closed doors, are you a changed person? And what I mean by a changed person, like, did you lose your filter and you have a quick fuse if people are not doing what you want them or what they should be doing? You don't fight with them, you just move on and like, okay, I don't deal with that. And you're just telling people how it is. Do you have that type of situation since you had your stroke or no?
Um, I mean, I have had to say goodbye to family and friends that kind of made me feel like I was using my stroke as an excuse, or they want me to be who I was before the stroke, which obviously that's not possible. I mean, you are a changed person when you survive what normally kills. And so, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have a short fuse, but I do have emotional triggers sometimes. My husband jokes around about like CBS mornings, like there's a feel good show on, and he'll just hand me the box of tissues because I'm going to cry about it. Because it's like something inside me's been turned on to be a little more emotional. And before I mean, I was emotional, but I could separate myself from those stories. Now
Let,
I
let,
feel like I'm part of some bigger story.
let's talk about that a little bit. You had to get rid of people that claim that you're faking it. You know, I really that really touches home with me because I had to get rid of a lot of people, family members. I was married, all types of stuff, and from my sanity, for my peace, I had to remove certain people out of my life because they didn't get it. And
Right.
unfortunately, I'm not in the position to explain it to you. And I'm not trying to be selfish. And a lot of times people look at you as the old person that you was before. Just because you look the same, you might even
Mm-hmm.
talk the same. When you brought this up with visual disability, they don't understand this life is completely different. And nobody that goes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't met a single person that has gone through a stroke, a massive stroke, and became the same person they was before. They are totally different. Even, well, I'm gonna let you dive into that. Do you think if you have a massive stroke, you could become the same person that you was before, or you're a different person?
Oh, I honestly, Greg, I always feel like I like to use like the analogy of the rabbit hole, where you just tuck yourself in underground and dig yourself a hole, or you create your own chrysalis and you're a caterpillar that's literally going through metamorphosis. And then it's like one day you kind of wake up and you have wings and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, well, no, I don't. I'm not the same. I'm not even the same uh, being that I was before because I don't have as much desire to like hang out with the victims. And I don't want to be a victim. So that's part of what's changed with me. It's like I feel like you have two choices. You can be the victim or you can be a warrior or a hero. Those are your options. And there's a lot of stroke survivors that like to just stay in that victim role, and that's their choice. And I can tell you in the beginning, when I was going through the 5 stages of grief, I was a victim for a
Mm,
little while when I was losing those relationships and I was losing what I thought was my prior identity. But I don't know, it's like one day some light bulb clicked and I started doing videos and I started talking and journaling. And I
yeah,
was like, well, if I'm not an expert on a stroke by having a stroke, who is? I mean, you're an expert too. We both have experienced these strokes for our own bodies.
right,
And that's kind of where I'm at every day. Even on my worst day, I am not a victim.
right. And I get that. And you spoke on that, and I'm very curious because I know my answer. I probably said it on my show plenty of times, but I want to hear your answer. You said it clicked for you. You was in your mind a victim. Then one day you say, I'm not. What was that aha moment for you that made you say, I need to get up and do the things that I need to do to live?
What really helped me was my husband actually put me on Facebook and I found a couple stroke support groups. And he's like, look, Vanessa, even though you can't find another ruptured brain aneurysm in like a 250-mile radius of where you live, there's a bunch of them online. You need to go, join these groups and start asking questions because I felt almost like a unicorn, like so incredibly different from everybody else and not having the right resources in place. And once I realized I was not alone, that's when it started to click that, oh my gosh, here are these people that are the trailblazers ahead of me, and they're telling me X, Y, and Z, and they're encouraging me to do this or that. And obviously, this doesn't take the place of your medical professionals, right? But it certainly helps to talk to other stroke survivors.
Okay. I get it. I completely get it because I was the same place. I was depressed. I didn't want anybody to try to pick me up. Come like I used to be able to do this. I used to be able to do that. But and I'm curious if this happened to you as well. Um, I became more spiritual. I'm not talking about religion or anything like that, but I just became more spiritual. I've realized that, like with that mind over matter type of mentality, that my mind can produce a lot more than I thought it could before. I was very heavily into what my body looked like, what my body could do, you know, how much I could lift up, how much I could run, what I look like on the beach, things of that nature. But now I'm more into more cerebral, more of wow, if I do this, this will happen. If I do that, this will happen. And that's how I live my life now. Did you have that same epiphany, or am I just a one in a million? I don't know.
No, well, you may still be one in a million. But I will say it made me question what my prior beliefs were based on what my experiences were through this trauma. And I am a big believer in energy, and that is kind of my mantra every day. I want to promote positive energy. I avoid negative energy the best I can. Obviously, you've got positive and negative all around you. And I tell myself before I even do any of my own videos, is this good? Are you promoting a positive message, or are you, maybe making somebody feel worse, right? So yeah, that's a spiritual aspect that's come through for me. And every day when I wake up in the morning, I put my hands up and I do this, and I just am grateful. I lived through another night, right? I'm still breathing, and the day is ahead of me, and I'm here with you and everyone else today.
No, and I get it, and I thank you that you actually are here. Um, this is a very deep and enlightening conversation, and I really appreciate everything that you have said. But I said this off camera, but I have to say it on camera. You are lighting up the camera right now with your vibrant energy. You're actually wearing red for stroke awareness, and everything is just, your energy is so contagious, and I really appreciate you. I know that it's only been like 3 years, but you have transformed yourself into a very great beacon for our stroke survivor community. So I really appreciate what you are doing. And I will really, really encourage you to keep on doing it. If you want to write a book, you want to make your YouTube channel bigger, please do. But before we leave you and make sure that you are safe and everybody else is safe and you get your rest. Oh, I got another comment on here. And we're going to do our hot seat questions. But before we
Yeah.
do our hot seat questions, let's get to our last comment that we have. It seems like we got a couple of them. Let's see what we got. Great having a positive attitude. That helps. And that's from the Freestyle Eek. Anywhere else? Dana, exactly. So much light. So she sees it too.
It's energy.
It's energy.
And we
Um,
we have we have an energy source that we can get more energy from.
the Freestyle Freak says, yes, Vanessa is a great guest. See, I'm not just saying it. I'm not just blowing smoke up you. This is real.
Well, I can always come back.
That would definitely be good too. That'd be definitely good too. All right, Vanessa, it's time for our hot seat questions. I'll ask you about 4 questions, give you about 30 seconds to answer each one of them. And when you're done with each question, just say, AVM Superhero, I'm ready for my next question, and I'll give you the next question. And then
Okay.
after that, I want you to close out the show. Give us any information about you, any motivational quote that you have, anything you want to say to close out the show. And before we do that, I just want to let everybody know, thank you so much for coming on Deaf Taught Us How to Live. This has been Stroke Awareness Month for the month of May. So all month long, we had guests that was talking about stroke awareness, and Vanessa is the one that closed out the show. So we really appreciate her. But if you want to see her interview again or any other interviews, go to the AVM Superhero page on YouTube, subscribe and like, and you can see every one of our episodes for episodes or season 5. So without any further ado, let's get into our hot seat questions. I got my glasses so I can read them now. Hot seat questions, hot seat questions, hot seat questions. Are we ready? Vanessa, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Question number 1. What do you think stroke survivors need when they are discharged from the hospital?
Okay. Ideally, there would be a case manager contacting you daily to answer your questions and concerns, but that is not the case in the United States. Also, there's no race or written guidelines on how long it will take for you to find your new baseline, since each stroke case is unique to the survivor. I would contact the nursing line almost daily, and the default answer was to go to the ER for more evaluation. This is not good health advice, in my opinion. It's very nice to have people in your house or community check on you every day and help you with the basics, even grocery shopping, helping you take a bath, get dressed. You're very weak when you've been bedbound. AVM superhero, I'm ready for the next question.
All right. Question number 2. I like that first answer. Let's go. Let's keep it going. Do you recommend a therapist for a stroke survivor or their family?
Yes, I found cognitive behavioral therapy very helpful in my first year of recovery, and I still have regular sessions with my therapist, as it's more than physical changes. Relationships can change, your emotions can be out of control due to the stroke, and a feeling of loss of who you once were is very common. I also needed physical therapy for the first 3 months, as my neck and head were so tight and locked up from the stroke and being bedbound. My nervous system was on high alert for many weeks. AVM superhero.
All right, I'm back. Before I go to question number 3, I have another comment or question from Instagram. So let's read that first, and then we'll go to question number 3. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. This is from Twisted Pony 64. He says, and this is a very interesting question, and I'm very curious of what you're going to say with this question. Now, how can you help a survivor who has given up and doesn't want help? Wow.
Oh. Answer for him? Oh, it's on me. um, you know, honestly, I can say at some point in time I was in that lot, and I would highly recommend trying to find a cognitive behavioral therapist or counselor. If you are part of a church community, maybe a minister or somebody to assist with that. There can also be chemical imbalances because of what's happened to your brain. So you might want to go see a psychiatrist and be evaluated. But at some point in time, that person has to want to get better and get help. You can't do that for them.
I love that answer, especially the second part. You can't help anybody become better. They have to want it themselves. Um, so I really want to dive into that a little bit further because I'm not sure how that question is being presented. And what I mean by that, are you speaking from the space as a stroke survivor that has given up? Are you are talking from a space of a caregiver that wants a
Caregiver.
stroke survivor to move forward? Um, for a person that doesn't feel like anything there is left for them in life, what I would suggest you to do is just to write things down And since you had your stroke and all the things that happened in your life that you actually missed. And what I mean by that you was depressed and you didn't want to actually be part of this world. And then you see all these things that's happening. Maybe your granddaughter, your daughter graduated high school, or they got married, or you seen a new family member being born into your family. If you died, you wouldn't have saw that. So I would say put things in that type of perspective and start taking it on yourself and say, okay, I am worthless. I am not doing this. But if you just take yourself out of it and take the word I am out and just say that same sentence again, then you will realize that you are part of this world. And yes, the world will keep on going on without you, but it's a blessing that you're still here to actually see it. That's one thing I would say. And as a caregiver for a stroke survivor, I would be more inclined to be um, not a hurdle for that person, but make things more convenient for that person. And what I mean by that, not to be an enabler, but to be more of an encourager for them to get better. So they want to go to physical therapy. What do they like about physical therapy? Or what kind of reward do they like after they get physical therapy? And make that a goal for them. Even though they might hate it, they might be kicking and screaming. Say, hey, after we do this, we're gonna go here or do this or do that, and they'll be more motivated to do that. So I'm not sure what question that you asking me, Twister Pony, but those are the two different sides that I thought about. All right, so let's go with question number 3. Back to the hot seat questions. Question number 3. What do you want people to take away from your message?
You are not alone. There are survivors, or what I call warriors, like you and me, that have lived through this trauma and came out of the other side, changed and stronger emotionally, spiritually, and in some cases, physically. I started my short videos as a means to share various themes of recovery, as I too was lost and confused. I hope I can help just one new survivor know there is life after a stroke.
Well put, but you didn't say AVM superhero. You ready for your next question?
AVM superhero, ready for the next question.
All right. Question number 4. Here is our 4th and final question. How did the threat of death teach you how to live?
It made me aware that at any moment in time, your life can be altered. Your energy can be shifted to another place, and do not take your present life for granted. I had no warning that the pop behind my right eye would put me in a space where time stood still and my consciousness was halted. Now, almost 3 years later, I'm thankful and grateful for the lesson I learned from a very intense and serious medical event. AVM superhero.
My sister, I thank you so much for coming on. And like I promised you, the floor is yours. Please close the show and let people know how they can get in touch with you. Talk to you guys later. AVM superhero out.
All right. Thank you, Greg, for having me on your show. If you're looking for me on Facebook, you can find me as Vanessa Kelly. I also have a channel on YouTube called Brave Healing Warrior. And I also encourage all of you to go to bafound.org, Brain Aneurysm Foundation. You can get help with signs and symptoms, and also resources for support groups, which I highly encourage all of you to look for. I do have one final quote for my friend Greg, and it is this: heroes are not known by their trophies. Heroes are known by their scars. Rock on, Greg. AVM superhero. Take care.